Tonight, new developments in a notorious Beverly Hills murder case that captured national attention. Decades after being convicted of killing their parents, Lyle and Eric Menendez have family members now coming forward calling for them to be released from prison.
It's time to recognize the injustice they've suffered and allow them the second chance they deserve.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. More than 20 relatives of Lyle and Eric Menendez are asking for them to be freed from prison. They spoke publicly today as new evidence emerges suggesting the brothers were abused before they shot their parents to death. As Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reports tonight, the LA County District Attorney is now reviewing that evidence.
Here we are, both sides of the family united, sharing a new bond of hope.
Together, I believe we can finally bring justice for my cousins, Lyle and Eric.
At least 20 family members asking for the release of Lyle and Eric Menendez, the brothers serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for the 1989 murders of their parents, Kitty and Jose Menendez in Beverly Hills. Both claim they were subjected to extensive emotional and sexual abuse by their father.
I cannot help but think of how things would be different if the world had known the truth back then, or if they had been the Menendez sisters.
In their case, if it were tried today, the evidence of their father's abuse would not only be admitted in court, it would provide essential context for why they acted as they did. No jury today would issue such a harsh sentence.
Not so, says another Kitty Menendez sibling, Milton Anderson, speaking to us through his attorney.
Mr. Anderson believes that the motive for the murder was in fact greed, and that Eric and Lyle had just learned that their dad was going to take them out of the will. And so it was at that time that they went and purchased shotguns in someone else's name, and that they murdered their parents for money.
Testimony showed that after the murders, there was no obvious grieving from the brothers, who instead spent $750,000 of their father's fortune in trips, expensive cars, clothes, and more. But now, District Attorney George Gascon says he is revisiting the sentencing, citing evidence presented by the family's attorneys.
That was a letter written by Eric fully 8 months before the killings to his cousin Andy. The letter describes the abuse.
More recently, a member of the band Menudo also accused Jose Menendez of sexually abusing him. So today, flocked by media, the family set out to meet with DA Gascon, who critics say
the only reason that he is, quote unquote, taking a second look at the Menendez case at this point in time is because he's hoping that it will garner him votes.
I know this is an election season, but for us, this is not a political issue. This is about truth, justice, and healing.
And that was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting tonight from Los Angeles. A court hearing on whether the Menendez brothers should be resentenced is set to take place on November 26th. And after the Menendez brothers' family members spoke earlier today, they did walk over to the district attorney's office to speak with prosecutors about the case. I talked with TMZ about how the attorney representing the Menendez brothers, Mark Garagos, is trying to win their release.
In his statements, he brought to the table a very key piece of evidence that has been mentioned across the board recently. That was a letter from Eric to his cousin Andy, in which he described the abuse that he had dealt with at the hands of his father, Jose Menendez. We do know after this press conference that the family members did head to the Hall of Justice here in LA, and they are going to be reiterating all of that information that they gave at the press conference.
And following that news conference by family members, prosecutors did put out a statement on this case saying they are still seeking full documentation of the defense's claims of abuse. A woman from the San Francisco Bay Area is now coming forward and accusing Sean Diddy Combs of abuse. According to a lawsuit filed this week, the alleged victim says she was raped by Combs and his entourage. KTVU's Crystal Bailey joins us live tonight from Orinda with the details on the accusations laid out in this suit. Crystal?
Well, Alex, I can tell you this, they're so gory, those details, that we can't even really get into the specifics. But the attorney for that woman says that it happened about half a mile away from right here, the Orinda police station, in a very quiet neighborhood about 6 years ago. In a lawsuit filed Monday, a Bay Area woman is coming forward with accusations against Sean Diddy Combs. Ashley Perham says in 2018, Diddy and his entourage violently gangbang-style raped her in Orinda. We're naming her because she is publicly named in the lawsuit. Her attorney, Ariel Mitchell, says it all started when she met a man named Shane Pierce in a bar in Contra Costa County, who began a FaceTime call with Diddy.
She actually made a quip about Mr. Combs having something to do, that she didn't like him because he had something to do with Tupac's murder.
The lawsuit states that Diddy made a remark that she would pay for her statement regarding Tupac. About a month later, at Pierce's home, the 63-page lawsuit describes a violent attack where Parham was violently raped by Diddy, his bodyguard Christina Coram, Pierce, and 4 other unidentified people. The lawsuit says Parham believed Pierce invited her over to set her up to be assaulted by Diddy. It claims after the attack, an argument ensued and a gun was fired, saying neighbors got involved, calling police. But the sheriff's deputy with Contra Costa County did not offer to take her home, nor did he call for emergency services, including an ambulance, nor any offer to take her to the hospital, nor any offer to help her. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office told us in a statement, a report was taken on March 23, 2018. We take these cases seriously, and detectives thoroughly investigated the accusations. It was later determined the claims were unfounded. The lawsuit says a few weeks later, Parham was still in pain and reeling from the horrific assault. Parham says she also reported the incident to Walnut Creek Police and Orinda Police without naming Diddy, as she felt she would not be believed.
It's affected her life dramatically. I think it's made her extremely shy and reserved and really an invalid.
Pierce was renting a downstairs apartment in the home on Loma Vista Drive where it happened, according to the lawsuit. The woman who lives there confirms Pierce lived there, but that he was too sick with cancer and ALS to have done this. She also says Pierce did not know Diddy. Mitchell says she reached out to the law enforcement agencies for their reports, but says they have not provided it.
What I found to be most suspicious was that letter from the police saying they wouldn't release to the victim the remnants of her own report.
And 6 years later, she's finally coming forward.
There's strength in numbers, but more importantly, that Diddy is in jail.
And we were unable to reach Diddy's attorneys or the others who are named in that lawsuit. Now, this is a civil case, meaning that there are no charges involved, but this does join the 20 other cases against Diddy. If you'd like to read the full report, you can find that on our website, KTVU.com. Alex?
All right, Crystal Bailey reporting live for us tonight in Orinda, California. Crystal, thank you. The former elected official convicted of killing a Las Vegas journalist addressed the courtroom today. During his sentencing, a judge gave Robert Tellez life in prison for killing reporter Jeff Gehrman. Tellez stabbed the reporter to death in 2022 after he'd written several articles critical of Tellez's work as a Clark County administrator. During today's sentencing, Tellez maintained that he was not involved in Gehrman's murder.
And I understand the desire to seek justice and have somebody accountable for this. But I did not kill Mr. Gehrman. And unfortunately, the people who should be held responsible, who should be brought to justice, the chances of that happening now, right this minute, are slim to none.
Tellez will be eligible for parole after serving 28 years in prison. The Phoenix Police Internal Affairs Department tonight is investigating why officers repeatedly punched and shocked a deaf man with a taser outside of a convenience store. That arrest happened back in August, and Phoenix police have just now released body camera footage from the scene. An attorney for the deaf man says officers made no effort to de-escalate that situation. As Fox 10's Lauren Clark reports, police say the officers were injured in that struggle.
An encounter that's sparking outrage.
Everybody stop where you're at. Have a seat.
Here's a look again from two angles: the officer's body camera and store surveillance footage. On the left, you see a man later identified as 34-year-old Tyrone McAlpin walking, looking down at his phone. A cop car approaches. On the right, you see the door open after giving orders to stop. Within moments, the officer puts his hands on McAlpin and punches are thrown in both directions. Then a third angle as a second officer arrives. His camera is obstructed. He later tells another cop that it flew off. Cameras capture repeated punches and tasers.
Hands behind your back! Hands behind your back!
A woman later shows up, identifying herself as McAlpin's wife. She explains why he didn't follow the officer's commands.
What kind of disabilities do you have?
He's deaf and he's got cerebral palsy.
How is he deaf if you've been on the phone?
Because I know sign language, that's why. I signed to him.
Multiple cop cars and paramedics later arrive. One officer tells them he's injured. The second officer also reported a swelling hand in the police report, which also accused McAlpin of repeatedly swinging at officers and leaving a bite mark. According to that document, it all began when officers were called to a gas station with reports of a fight. A man identified McAlpin as his attacker from across the street.
You're saying that's the guy that assaulted
right there, with the backwards hat on. Yep.
That's when officers say they pursued McAlpin in their vehicles. Police documents state gas station employees did not witness any fight, and no angles from the security cameras there captured any punches thrown. McAlpin has not been charged with assaulting the man at the gas station. He is, however, facing charges of aggravated assault against an officer, which is a felony.
And that was Fox 10's Lauren Clark reporting tonight from Phoenix. Tyrone McAlpin has pleaded not guilty to resisting arrest and aggravated assault. The Phoenix Police Department has been accused by the Department of Justice of discriminating against Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, but it has resisted efforts to enter into a consent decree. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, saved within seconds from being hit by a train. The entire thing captured on camera tonight. The risk Seattle police officers took to get this man to safety.
And in weather, a beautiful live camera right now looking out towards San Francisco. Look at all those pretty colors for your Wednesday sunset. We are talking about increasing fire danger for parts of the West Coast, and we'll have the update coming up.
Also coming up tonight, the West becomes a testing ground for what could be the future of transportation. See how one company is hoping to get you off the road and into the air.
Hey, get ready to pull it.
A daring rescue caught on camera in Seattle. This body camera footage shows police officers pulling a man out of the way of an oncoming train at the very last moment. The officers say the man slipped and fell onto the tracks. He suffered several fractures. He was taken to the hospital to be treated. An incredible rescue there. Tonight, rescue crews in Washington continue searching for two Navy crew members who were aboard a jet that crashed during a routine training flight. That crash happened yesterday afternoon. The wreckage has been found east of Mount Rainier in a remote, rugged area, but so far there's no sign of those two pilots. Fox 13's Lauren Donovan has the latest tonight on this search.
If you've been on Whidbey Island and driven through Oak Harbor, you've definitely seen these two retired jets stationed out front of the base. These are called Prowlers, and at one point they were the top dogs of electronic warfare. That is until the Growler was built by Boeing in the early 2000s and replaced it. The Growler has been dubbed the king of aviation warfare. So how does a plane with such advanced technology on just a routine mission go down?
The Growler is really an F-18 Super Hornet. 90% of it is exactly the same as the Blue Angels.
Aviation expert Mike Dunlop says strip the blue paint, throw in some advanced electronic warfare capabilities as displayed in this Boeing video, like jamming enemy radar, and you've got yourself a Growler.
It's the Top Gun airplane that's out there.
Zapping correspondents, this elite U.S. fighting force is concentrated here at the Whidbey Island Naval Air Base.
I think probably the most advanced jet fighter for interception of communications.
But somehow, a routine training Tuesday afternoon went seriously wrong. Radar shows us one of these Growlers went down in remote Forest Service lands east of Mount Rainier. Naval reconnaissance and choppers are overhead searching as ground crews prepare to set out on foot. That's where Doug McCall from Seattle Mountain Rescue comes in.
I think we have mountain rescue teams responding from across the state.
Enlisting alpinists and climbers, they'll have to brave steep terrain to track down this lost crew.
We're all volunteers.
Rescue or recovery.
And it must have happened very quickly because the F-18 has a great ejection system. and you normally can activate that very quickly.
This tragedy has left aviation experts calling for answers.
Well, I hope they find the real root cause and not just come up with pilot error. There has to be a reason.
Reporting in Oak Harbor, Lauren Donovan, Fox 13 News.
A second person has died after being swept out to sea in Honolulu earlier this week. It happened Monday at Keiki Beach. One man died there at the scene. Police say Susie Jett of Oklahoma City was pulled from the ocean in critical condition, and she died at the hospital last night. Her daughter was also pulled from the water, and she remains hospitalized. This beach was experiencing a high surf advisory when they were all swept away, with waves reaching up to 18 feet.
They're on this beautiful Hawaiian beach. It is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And all of a sudden, boom, within an instant, this giant wave came over, and their loved one is gone.
Lifeguards say since 2020, they've pulled 6 unresponsive people from the waters at this beach, and they have had 4 near drownings. Shifting now to talk about our weather here in the West, and people in the Bay Area and across Northern California are getting ready for another round of critical fire weather in the coming days. Here is a live look tonight as the sun sets here in San Francisco. That's the downtown area in the middle of your shot there. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking what we expect are going to be very dry and gusty conditions starting late tomorrow.
That's right, Alex. This is the peak of fire season, usually linked up with some very dry offshore winds setting up. So that's a concern. A red flag fire warning in place basically for the entire Bay Area from 11 p.m. Thursday until 5 p.m. Saturday. So it's kind of a long, prolonged event here, and winds could be gusting over 40, over 50, maybe approaching 60 miles an hour for the hills. And this is also a very dry weather pattern as well. So relative humidity is coming down to around 10%. Here's what's happening. This system produced some rain showers up in Northern California today. This is going to be on the move as this area of high pressure rebuilds offshore. That pressure difference sets up that wind event. It really picks up Thursday night and into Friday. So fire danger definitely on the increase. Here's the satellite and the radar today. We actually had a few rain showers or some sprinkles for the Bay Area, even out toward the Sierra as well. Here's a closer look at some of the radar imagery. Those showers kind of scooting on out toward Nevada. And then this system is up in the Pacific Northwest, bringing in another band of some rain for tonight. So clouds and some rain showers showing up in this picture, and those rain chances will linger into your Thursday morning. This was Seattle today. Lots of clouds in place, 61 degrees. I did see trace amounts of rainfall for Seattle over the past 24 hours. In San Francisco, the clouds cleared on out this afternoon. Remember, we had a few sprinkles earlier this morning, 63 degrees. And in Phoenix, showing you a few high clouds out there. Temperatures actually a little bit below 100, not by much, but 99 degrees this afternoon in the Phoenix area. So some rain up in Seattle tomorrow, basically for the morning hours. Sunshine, we're going to keep an eye on those stronger winds for San Francisco. In Southern California, lots of clouds, and there's even the chance of a sprinkle or some light showers. And then sunny and warm, in fact, a cooler weather forecast for the Phoenix area tomorrow. Here you can see the forecast model. Once again, it does bring in that rain band, even maybe some snow showers up in parts of the Pacific Northwest. This is for your Thursday. And the clouds, at least for California, really focused down in Southern California, especially for tomorrow morning. Here's the forecast for Los Angeles. The clouds will be a factor. Temperatures mainly in the 60s. And the chance of some rainfall for Southern California. Here's a breakdown, as you can see, up and down the West Coast. It's cool up to the north. Actually, no major heat to talk about finally. Now towards Scottsdale and Tucson, temperatures may be approaching the 90-degree mark. So here's the forecast over the next 3 days. Clouds up in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, fire danger will be a concern for the San Francisco Bay Area. We'll have to keep an eye on that cool down out toward Phoenix. Look at that by Friday and Saturday, just some 70s out there. It looks like maybe a shower or thunderstorm chance showing up for Friday in Phoenix and also out toward Denver as well. So the pattern, Alex, is really starting to change around.
Certainly a major shift. Yeah. Mark, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, flying cars. One company wants to make them a reality within 10 years. Tonight, how the West is setting the stage for testing. Utah is on track to help prepare the world for flying cars. Fox 13's Ben Winslow spoke with people in Salt Lake City who are planning to turn that region into a testing ground.
We can't keep building horizontally, we have to think vertically. And we're proud that Governor Cox has given us the mandate to put this in place ahead of the Olympics.
I'm Ben Winslow on Utah's Capitol Hill. The state is working closely with companies to experiment with something called advanced air mobility, and it could start happening within the next year. At Governor Spencer Cox's One Utah Summit in Cedar City, the crowd was shown a promotional video of Archer's midnight electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. 47G, an association of aerospace and defense companies in Utah, is pushing for advanced air mobility in the state.
We're building this in partnership with UDOT, with the governor's office, with the Inland Port Authority, and with others. And we're excited for what this means in rural Utah.
The head of 47G tells me they'll start experiments very soon.
So the timing is that over the next year, we're going to get a foundation laid for the development to start so we can go vertical. Once that happens, we'll be able to bring a certified aircraft into the state and then through the FAA certify a flight. So it'll all happen, and by the time the 2034 Olympics are here, we'll have operable routes that will help the world come and navigate Utah for the games.
Starks says they're electric and quieter than typical aircraft.
We're better on the environment. No secret here, we have poor air quality, especially in the Salt Lake area.
Utah's Department of Transportation has been involved in experiments with vertical takeoff and landing, like this one in Layton earlier this year. The plan is over the next 6 to 8 months to select 10 sites in Utah to try it, focusing on both cargo and passenger transportation.
There are 49 airports in Utah. Airports can be modified and adjusted to support these vertical aircraft operations. And so we'll probably start in that area and working in concert with UDOT. They're identifying those types of areas.
Intermountain Healthcare and Walmart are already experimenting with delivery drones in Utah. But the head of 47G's Project Alta, which stands for Air Logistics Transportation Alliance, says people do have some concerns.
Is that it needs to be safe, secure. A lot of people worry about the security of these things as well, and financially viable.
So for years now, the Utah State Legislature's Transportation Committee has been laying the groundwork for advanced air mobility, passing laws governing airspace regulations and delivery drones. They've also been working on laws dealing with autonomous vehicles. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, finally tonight, some spectacular images of fall colors here in the West. Visitors to California's Mammoth Lakes are being greeted these days with hues of yellow, gold, and orange, an incredible sight. Tourism officials don't expect the fall foliage will last much longer, though, in the mountains southeast of Yosemite. They say cooler weather is in the forecast, and that likely is going to set up this region for a shift to more winter-like conditions. In fact, Mammoth's big ski resort and the ski season is expected to get underway not long from now on November 7th. So it's all going to continue changing there in the mountains of California. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Remember, you can stay up to date on all the stories we're covering online at westcoastwrap.com and stream our shows with the Fox Local app. We'll leave you here once again with those beautiful shots from the mountains, the Sierra Mountains in California.